In last week's episode, we talked about the rights of tenants during lockdown alert level 4. We discussed that courts may now hear applications for eviction and that it is only with an order of court that tenants may be evicted. While the lockdown regulations applies equally to everyone living in South Africa, refugees and migrants are often unsure of what their rights are during the national lockdown. So today, we are excited to be joined by Hlengiwe Mtshatsha from Lawyers for Human Rights to shine some light on this issue. Hlengiwe is an attorney in the LHR's Refugee and Migrant Rights Program. She will be discussing some of the questions frequently asked by refugees and migrants relating to their tenant rights. I'm your host, Danielle Louw. Welcome, Hlengiwe. It's great having you here for this important discussion.
Thank you, Danielle. I'm also happy to be here.
So, Hlengiwe, many foreign nationals have raised concerns relating to landlords asking them to pay rent during lockdown, knowing that they are not working and therefore can't pay their rent. Can landlords evict foreign nationals if they are unable to pay?
No, the law generally does not allow unlawful evictions for failing to pay rent. So even under normal circumstances, the landlord needs to follow a legal procedure to get a court order to remove a tenant who is unable to pay. So it's after a legal process is followed that the landlord can lawfully remove a tenant who is unable to pay their rent, or it can be for other reasons that a person may be evicted. So the law applies equally to foreign nationals and South Africans with green barcoded IDs or ID cards. There's no discrimination.
And are landlords entitled to remove foreign nationals' furniture or other property to cover the cost of unpaid rent?
No, that's also unlawful. Under normal circumstances, the landlord may approach the court to attach the property of the tenant who is unable to pay, and that is normally done under the common law procedure of the landlord exercising what is known as a hypothec, or exercising their right to collect rent arrears in that legal process. So that is also not allowed. It cannot be done without the proper legal procedure.
So how can tenants in this time, when they can't pay their rent, make a sort of payment arrangement with their landlords?
So generally, I think there is a lot of information that's been distributed by organizations such as Ndifuna Ukwazi, the NU Law Center, and recently the NU has collaborated with Lawyers for Human Rights to distribute a Know Your Rights pamphlet, to just a very short summary of how one can protect their rights. And that generally applies to the general public. But with foreign nationals, what we've observed through the legal support hotline is that they are not registered. They are not the primary signatories to the lease agreement. And it makes it difficult then for a foreign national, for example, who is unable to open a bank account because their documents are not recognized by a bank, to enter into a formal payment arrangement with the landlord. What we advise clients to do, or the callers into the legal support hotline, is to respond to the landlord and propose how they'll repay their rent after the lockdown is lifted, and how they're able to go back to work. So, for example, people have been owing rent for the past 2 months, and that is an existing debt. All that they have to do, what we advise them, is to inform the landlord that they acknowledge that they are owing rent for 2 months, and as soon as they are working, they will work towards clearing that debt and also keeping up with the lease agreement.
So, Hlengiwe, in our previous podcasts, we have talked about the role of the police during an eviction. So what are the police exactly supposed to do to stop an eviction?
The first step that the police are supposed to take is to stop whoever is trying to remove tenants from their home. It might be the landlord themselves, or the landlord may outsource or get assistance from other parties. So whether it's a lockout or a physical removal of the property, as soon as the police are called onto the scene, they need to ensure that the property of the people who are renting is returned, and the people who have been removed are also returned to their home. This might also include helping them to replace broken locks or recording damages to property, because that is very important in the lease agreement, because if there's any damage, liability may be on the tenant, and that can affect how much of their deposits they get when they leave. So the first response by the police is to mediate and to ensure that the tenants are restored back into their home and their belongings are given back to them as if an eviction had not happened.
So we know that during lockdown level 5, no one was allowed to move from one place to another. May tenants now, during alert level 4, move to another residence?
Movement between provinces was allowed for a short period and with a permit. And now with the level 4 regulations, on the 7th of May, the Minister of Cooperative Governance released another updated regulation to say that between 7 May and 7 June, people may lawfully move from their place of residence to a new place of residence. But the condition is that there must be a lease agreement for the new place where one is moving to. And that is a condition for one to obtain an actual permit to move from their old place to their new place. So in any event, even with the new permits, it's actually a confirmation that no unlawful evictions may take place, because you have to be able to prove that you're moving to a place where you are lawfully allowed to enter.
Thank you so much, Hlengiwe. So more generally now,
Yes.
We know that the LHR oversees all the incoming requests received on the legal support hotline. So besides tenant and landlord disputes, what are some of the most common concerns that people have during COVID-19?
Most of the issues that come through the legal support hotline, apart from evictions, are to do with how law enforcement is responding to how law enforcement is actually enforcing the regulations. And the other calls that are coming in have to do with employers supporting the employees who are out of work. So it's UIF claims and people who are out of work trying to enforce their rights, or trying to understand what their rights are in terms of being retrenched, dismissed from work, and being, the downscaling, the effect of the downscaling of the workforce in general. So those are the calls that are coming through on the legal support hotline.
Any final comments?
Well, the final comments that I would make, I know that as lawyers for human rights and other civil society organizations that are giving legal assistance, our resources or our responses are limited to giving legal advice. But we've observed that most of the, especially foreign nationals who phone in, even though their problems have to do with evictions and the possible termination of their lease agreements, there's a huge need for foreign nationals to be recognized as people who are living in South Africa and are as affected by the lockdown as the next person. There is a gap in terms of asylum seekers cannot receive social relief because of the document status of asylum seekers and refugees, but mostly asylum seekers. There's a high risk that they are the ones who are going to be permanently out of work, who will not be able to access banks, who will not be able to access health facilities, they will not be able to access social security simply because they do not have the proper legal document, and that is because the Department of Home Affairs is also generally on lockdown. with regards to foreign nationals. So that is what I would like to highlight, that those who are not documented at the moment are forgotten about.
Such an important point, Hlengiwe. Thank you so much. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Danielle.
Listeners, if your rights are being violated during lockdown, you can contact the legal support hotline number where public interest law organizations may be available to assist you free of charge. The number is 066 076 8845. The number again, 066 076 8845. And lastly, we are further excited to announce that on the 20th of May, Ndifuna Ukwazi will be hosting a live advice assembly focusing on evictions and the payment of rent during Alert Level 4. This will be an opportunity for you to learn more about the eviction process and to stand in solidarity with others to prevent and resist unlawful evictions and unfair landlord practices. Tune in to Facebook Live between 5 and 6 p.m. to hear Buhle Boy facilitate this important discussion.